All right, give me the go. All right, cool. We are live. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool, and
today. I don't have my mix board today, or I'll give like some serious applause. But we got David Dutton joining us today, who is man, it's going to be good because David's an entrepreneur. Sean and I have known him for years. I've known him for seems like forever going back. And David has well, I'm going to let him share his story because he's been an entrepreneur since I've known him, but he's had a number of businesses. One that he had a partner. I mean, I don't know if you want to go into the details, Dave.
I'll talk about whatever that I can publicly.
Yeah,
I don't care either. I'm open book, man. So
okay,
Jonathan, was David the one that put you in the lockers at school? Is it that far back, or was
no,
that was a different guy? Okay, just want to make sure.
No, we don't go back to high school, but it's pretty close, Dave.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems like it, doesn't it? I mean, I think Dave, we've known each other since it's been at least 10 years, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
we're probably 2002 on Jonathan, maybe something.
Yeah.
2003, maybe. And then you're right behind that, Sean.
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think you guys met probably at the meetups, like when we used to do back in the day.
I was like, oh, cool. I was like, oh my God, this dude from like that wrote copy at Agora Publishing. Oh my God. Like, I mean, I was nerding out on that, like that night when I was like, dude, I didn't know anybody's done that. Like, and I was a nerd on copywriting. And I was like, oh man, that's cool.
And then you met him and you were like, oh, wow.
Oh, shoot, Jonathan. No, that's exactly.
To our listeners, we used to do a marketing meetup in Knoxville. And so Dave, obviously, Dave's lived over in Nashville, so he'd drive over and he would be the speaker back in the day when we did a lot of those marketing meetups. Sean was a speaker quite often. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's pretty cool how, we all cross paths at some point in time. But Dave, I wanted him to come on today to share his perspective because he's run some very successful businesses. He'll share with our listeners, his story on his most recent business. Mm-hmm. But I wanted him to kind of share some of his takeaways because I think Dave, and I'm pretty sure this is right.
Say whatever, Jonathan, just so know anything perception or whatever, just so you know. Talk about whatever.
Okay. Well, I wanted you to share because I know you're the one that probably got me to read Cialdini's Influence years back. So I thought, man, let's get Dave on and have him share some of your perspectives, some lessons from influence from those principles that you may have used. Whether it be scarcity, reciprocity, authority. I know that one's a big one. Yeah. But we'll get into that here soon. But we got some important things to take care of first.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm excited about this stuff. So, David, you've already started drinking, so we'll let our guests start. So
that's right.
Everybody, not everybody brings a beverage on, but a lot of people do. So, I appreciate you bringing one on. So, what are you having today?
All right. So here's the deal. Like at 42, I'm still like a grown up baby. I'm like a kid. Like I just want a snow cone that gets you a buzz basically. And so I just got Malibu rum. Okay.
There you go.
There's not any beer in my house right now. There's lots of bourbon. There's whiskey. There's some wine. I'll just drink some wine sometimes. But yeah, this is my go-to. I will say, I ain't going to deny it. Malibu rum is my go-to.
I gotta say though, snow cone with a buzz is like a great tagline. Like you should start your own brand.
That's a business.
That's a business right there.
It's like that's what I visualize when people like my next door neighbor. If you go see his bourbon whiskey, like shelf of blue lights, and they geek out on it, and he'll want to fix me a drink, and I'll drink it, kind of like the Dave Chappelle skit with not Morgan Freeman, Samuel L. Jackson. It'll get you drunk. Do y'all remember that? I mean, there's a skit with him, like if Samuel L. Jackson came out with his own beer, and I don't appreciate it as much as they do, but I'm just like, I'll take my Malibu rum, and I will throw some pineapple, and it's like I visualize it's a freaking slushy, and it just like let's go hang out, listen to some music, and hang out, and whatever. So it is who I am. Who I am. I will drink the bourbon. I will drink the whiskey. I'll drink all that. I try when I will go to a bar and drink. This week I went to a bar and I had 4 different drinks, but when I go, all right, just say, I was in Bible college when I turned 21 and you couldn't do that stuff. You get kicked out even during the summer if they found out you were doing that. Well, I didn't experiment with a lot of drinks. And so now through all these years, like when I go to a bar, I always tell them, you just tell me, you just fix me something. If I don't like it, I don't really care. Like it's only one time, but at least I tried it. Right. So I had some random port beer thing or something the other day, and I was like, hey, whatever, let's try it, and it was fine. But I just like random stuff.
Sure,
yeah.
How about y'all?
This is the right place for that. So
yeah, what are y'all drinking?
Oh man, go ahead, Sean.
Well, I've got I got a beer from our sponsor, the Original Craft Beer Club. Got a new. Bob showed up at the house. That's my new nickname for the club, Bob, because it's
Bob.
It's a box of beer. So
yep.
Bob.
Oh, nice.
Bob shows up.
Nice play.
So
you're always welcoming Bob.
Yeah, Bob's welcome anytime. And now it's not beer in a box. That's a whole different thing.
Sure.
Right? This is a box of beer, so it's a little bit different. But this one is from Dark Horse Brewing Company, which is up in Marshall, Michigan.
Okay.
And I've noticed the Original Craft Beer Club likes a lot of stuff. It seems like they like a lot of the northern stuff. So,
okay,
which is nice because I don't get it down here. So,
absolutely.
But they were founded in 1997. Check this out, guys. Like we went the wrong path because this says it all started back in a dorm room in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, where Aaron Morris discovered his ability to make the kind of beer that people remembered long after that first swig. Instead of leaving college for the corporate world, he surrounded himself with like-minded souls and eventually launched Dark Horse Brewery. Man, I don't know where I went wrong.
Did you write that copy? Like,
no, this is the newsletter.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so you get a newsletter when you subscribe to the club.
They give you some trivia there, Dave.
Yeah,
they give you lots of
trivia. They do trivia. They do all kinds of stuff. But this one's called Dark Horse Brewing, and it's got like this dark horse.
Oh, I like that.
And it's a black special reserve ale. And here's some beer copy for you, David. It's conceived in a dimly lit room on a blistery cold night in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The Reserve Special Black Ale is the oldest beer in the Dark Horse portfolio. This beer has a dark, almost eerie presence with rich flavors that explode onto your taste buds.
Yes, it explodes. Yeah.
With balanced yet malt, roast, and chocolate. This brew drinks like a porter and finishes like a stout. So it fits in nicely with its strong black ale category. 7.5% alcohol, 67 IBUs. We'll see how that.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll
67. That's going to be, it might be a little sour there.
I don't know. We'll find out. So, what do you have over there, Jonathan?
I have
got a Coors Light since you're in Colorado.
No, but I actually have a local brewing company here in Boulder.
I would hope so.
Hey, I'm gonna flip this light on because my eyes are getting bad. It's getting dark here, so I'm broadcasting from our hotel suite here. But this is a company called Four Noses. It's a really cool story. I actually read a little about them. This is a family. It's a family of four. The father they were celebrating his 50th anniversary. I mean, not his 50th anniversary, his 50th birthday. Okay. And they were out having drinks. They were out having Guinness beers. And they came up with the idea to start a brewing company here right outside of Boulder. And they decided to call it Four Noses because, obviously, the four members of the family, Four Noses.
Oh, wow.
So
where are we going with this? Yeah.
What's that?
I was like, where are we going with this? This is cool. Okay, now I got it. It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a family owned business. This one's not very strong. It's like this one's like 5%, but it's a American Mosaic Ale.
Okay.
But only about 5%. ABV. IBUs are, I think it's actually pretty low on the IBUs, around 20 something on the IBUs. So,
but does it get you drunk? Like,
well, if you drink enough of them, yeah.
That's the key.
Interesting. I was thinking what you were saying earlier, Dave, with about the spiked snow cones.
Mm-hmm.
And Rachel and I, we went to a breakfast place yesterday. Really cool place near our hotel here in Boulder. It's called The Buff. And and their tagline is "Come eat in the Buff," and it's actually, they've got the Colorado Buffaloes here, so that's kind of, but they like to play on the words there. But they've got some the food is phenomenal, but the drinks, they've got some really cool drinks, and one of them they had was it's called the Dude Espresso. So it's from the Big Lebowski. So they put it's like part White Russian and part espresso. Man, that thing was good.
Oh, that's very cool. I like that. That's awesome.
So I know how you like those interesting drinks. So that was like, I decided to try something a little different than just coffee for breakfast.
Because I couldn't see you doing that. But like, good for you for doing that. Because I feel like you would not break that outside that. But like,
especially at that time, because it was like 11 o'clock. We were having breakfast, and I'm like, sure, why not? I'll have a little alcohol.
Good. Can I insert one alcohol story in here?
Sure.
Like, no,
go right ahead. That's all we talked about.
Good. This is a little bit. This is a little bit like turning into my main card a little bit, but I have no shame because keep in mind, I'm just a 42-year-old big kid that likes to get a buzz every now and then. So I will get random drinks if we're sitting at a table. Like I said, I'm like, what do you got that's popular? Again, social proof kind of thing. What do you got that's popular? What are you selling? Like, well, it sound good. I'll get it. Yep. We're at Jonathan's. Y'all got a Jonathan's in Knoxville? Or
yeah. Absolutely.
Jonathan's. Yep. Okay. So we're at a Jonathan's here in Spring Hill, and I got this. I don't even know what it was, but it was like it came out, and I didn't know it was going to come out like this. Okay. I don't think I regret it, but I will be honest with you. Of all the drinks I've ever had that are kind of girly, this was the one. This is a little, I mean, even a couple years later, I still feel it. Like, I'm like, I can't believe this. And then Jonathan's, I did not know what it was going to look like. It came out in like a martini glass, and it was pink, and it had sugar on the edge, and it was just like, and then my wife, guess what she was drinking? A freaking mule. So she had the mule, and I had this like fruity drink. And true story, normally I do not care what people think about me, but I guzzled that drink because I'm sitting there in front of everybody thinking like, okay, I cannot let anybody see me drinking this thing. And so like I guzzled it or whatever, just because it was just, I was sitting here with this pink drink. I'm like a big 6'1", 300-pound guy. And I'm just like, but
it's like having a tutu on your table. Like,
I might as well have had one. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, so anyway, that was the only drink I think ever that I was kind of embarrassed. It was good, but I was like, that's the man card right there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, true story.
Now we got to taste test. So see here. With that, I don't have my soundboard, so I can't do the clink. So cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
So mine, I'll go ahead and rate mine. Mine is really good. Okay. So I love a good black ale. So this, man, got that little bit of that coffee taste, but not overpowering. So really like it. I'm going to give this out of 5 pints, I'm going to give it a solid 4.
Solid 4. Okay. So Dave, we give a rating from 1 to 5 pints, 5 pint being the best, of course.
Yeah.
So you got to rate your your bottle there. Your
dude, my coconut, my freaking Malibu rum is always gonna be a 5, just because that's what it is. Like I drink it all the time. That's empty now, so I got to go get some more. But
I was gonna say it's always a 5 at the bottom of the bottle.
Oh, look at that! Clever. It's like you write for a living or something. Yeah, dude. It's good. What about you, Jonathan?
I tell you, this is a little flat, so I'm a little disappointed. I'm going to have to give this one maybe. I think maybe giving this a 2.8 is probably generous, but I'm going to give it since I'm out here in Colorado.
Lock your doors.
I'm sure that some of their other ales or beers are good. I just got this. I mean, look at that color. You know,
and it's got a little bit of cloudiness.
Like it's almost like an IPA, but
I was gonna say leaning towards that IPA.
Yeah,
sure.
All right. Well, now we get into the good stuff. So, Dave, I want you before we Sean and I get into this. Why don't you kind of give a little, you don't have to go too far back, but let's start with some of your recent history in terms of business and what you're doing there now.
Absolutely. All right, so I'll fast forward. So I've been doing online marketing for almost freaking 20 years. I'm old now, and it's about 2015. Fast forward. I mean, I've sold ebooks, advertising.
What was your first product online?
First what?
What was your first product online?
Hands down. When I was 26, I don't know if you can see. It's hard to see, but that book right there, I wrote when I was 26.
Oh yeah. I'm
proud of it, but I'm embarrassed by it too because it's horrible. Now the content's really good. It really is. It's legit good, but I'm staring at it and it's so bad design wise and everything. But I was 26 and I wrote my first book and we sold like 3,000 copies. Now keep in mind that was like 2007 or so. It was hard to get stuff online, like stuff that like Create Space did not exist, like any of that stuff. It was hard. Even video. I remember I made this video with my mom that I had Rocky music playing, and like we had a bet that I couldn't sell books, and I did, and like
I remember that, dude.
Yeah, it's very ghetto-ish, but like you had to have a firewire. Still to this day, I don't know what a firewire is, but you like had to have like a firewire to connect or something. It was just hard back in the day, but that was my first thing online. Now, my first money I made online was Marlon Sanders' affiliate program out of Bible college dorm room. I made like $47. So I woke up, went there, made $47 overnight, and I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Like, this is amazing. Some stranger bought this $97 software and I made $47. Well, that changed my life, obviously, because time, I was just now learning that time was like a hot button to me. I was 22, I think. That's what got me on the internet thing, because I was like, well, I want to do that again. Now, look, it didn't turn out that way. Jonathan has known me that long, too, where all of a sudden I just made a bunch of money overnight. I didn't. I've made a living. I've never had a big boy, real adult job or anything like that. I've always made a living, but that was the first product that I did. That book right behind me, actually. And then I've written 7 since then. Fast forward to 2015, got my mortgage license. Because I was in between projects, wasn't sure what I was going to do, looking for something. And I'd started a blog on Ashpreneur.com a few years before, met a guy named Tim Davis, who was just over at the house tonight, actually, and giving away a free CD back when CDs were a thing or whatever. And I lost $1.67, but losing $1.67 made me a millionaire. It was so crazy. It was, I didn't know it then. I had no freaking idea my life was going to turn out this way. And, but I lost $1.67 mailing out that CD and met Tim Davis. And then he got me in the mortgage business because I saw all this money, and they were paper pushers. I mean, they were like introverted, people that like didn't want to kill business. They had a hard time. And I was like, well, that's all I've done is kill business. That's all I know how to do. And so I was like, well, I'll just outmarket these people. And true story, I did not do anything. This is totally God. Did not do anything, and I'm not even trying to be humble. It is God on his. I don't know if it's a photographic memory, but like I have a pretty good memory, and so I started memorizing facts. I'd walk around. I memorized 365 verses of the Bible back in Bible college. But in 2015, I walked around Spring Hill with about a stack of note cards, about that high, with mortgage facts. And I studied and I passed the mortgage exam. Now, you don't want me to do your mortgage. You don't want me to do that. Like street knowledge, 0, like out. Yeah, you did not want me to do that. But
you could spit it out, right?
Yeah, I could tell you like about, different facts about it or whatever. But I looked at it for about 2 days and realized I passed, and I did not believe it. It took me about 2 days to really process that I got like a 75% 75, and you had to have a 73 to pass or something.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, almost to the day to when I got my license, I had a book ghostwritten called How to Buy Your Dream Home if you're self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
Totally ghostwritten. I didn't write a word of it. And had me on the cover. You go to Amazon.com right now and look at it. Mm-hmm. That landed me in the newspaper. And then this guy, Michael Lush, my former partner, saw him in the paper. Was like, who is this dude? Like, why is this guy? Like, I don't know this guy. And it's a small world. The mortgage world,
sure.
Like most things, it's a small world. He's like, does this guy know more about self-employed people because he's got a book and he's local too. So it's even then like, how do I not know this guy that has a book about mortgage and self-employed? Because nobody wants to deal with self-employed people. And long story short, we friended each other, but he was competition. I wasn't going to share anything. Then he started posting about home equity lines of credit. And then I was like, oh my God, you're the only second person that I know in the world that even knows about this. Like literally, I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. My buddy Jonathan has been doing this. I didn't know it was a home equity line of credit then, but my buddy Jonathan and his wife's been doing it for like a couple years. And you didn't ever say home equity line of credit. You just said some like loan or a line of credit.
Right.
And every time we would get together, and I would be like, where's the fee? Like, where's the catch? Sure. Whatever. But I was like, oh, this is cool. Somebody else. So we met at Starbucks in Target in Spring Hill, and he was showing me what he was doing. He wanted to compare notes, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And he was teaching a $2,000 class from his house, which is about 2 miles up the road, or used to be, on how to pay off your home early in 5 to 7 years. And he was making about $9 to $12 a month and selling these $2,000 classes. Had a Wix website, which is terrible, by the way. Like, I mean, it's like, whatever.
Right.
But anyway, so I was like, I could just quadruple your business. Like, not in an arrogant way. I'm just like, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, I could just do a few switches and like, whatever. And so I did it. He said, okay, I'll give you 50%. We weren't partners, but I would like give you 50% of what you bring in. So I did an interview with him, which we talk about, authority and all that. Did an interview with him and all that. Let me fast forward because I'm getting too micro into this, but bottom line is we started Replace Your Mortgage. We went from, it took us 2 years to make, we passed, I think we passed $1 million in like June of 2017. So we started September 2015 ish, like me promoting, and then started growing. And then by March of 2016, I think we're making 15 to 25 grand a month. And then it just went up, a week, and it just went up bigger and built a multi-million-dollar business in 4 years. Right. 38 million people saw our YouTube channel, 400,000 book downloads and all this stuff. And then I started making all this money, and Uncle Sam wanted it. And so I started A Good Landlord. And so to take it back from the government. And so we invest in real estate. And so when people write checks to us, it's to A Good Landlord. And then when people talk about us, it's about A Good Landlord. So I try to bring marketing into my real estate because nobody else is doing it. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now, but that's kind of a high level.
No, that's great. That reminded me of A Good Land. I didn't even know about that. So that's kind of cool.
That's a great name.
That's a great name. Yeah. It reminds me of, first thing I thought of was the Dr. Michelle with her 3-word rebellion.
Oh, wow.
She was on it as a guest, and she's got this thing called the 3-word rebellion. You'd love it, David. And it's, those types of phrases, right? Like flatten the curve, a good landlord. Like, I mean, it's just something that sticks. It's a play on words, like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
Yeah. Thank you. I will tell you, all these ideas have come from other people. I think I'm smart. I'm not saying that in an arrogant way. I think all of y'all are smart, but I think there's much smarter people that have taken the machete and chopped it down. I just come and make the path a little bit better. I was watching Ellen DeGeneres many years ago, and I saw the credits come on, and it said the producer was A Good production company. That's where I got that. Yeah. They produced the Ellen DeGeneres show, and I was like, dude, I love that. But it wasn't until 5 years later before I even used it.
Sure.
I can just see all our listeners right now, like going to like,
good.com
and like buying up. A good marketing company, a good copywriter. Like,
yes, there's so many ways to do that.
So, I think, David, I think your gift is not just implementation, but how fast and how you don't question anything. Like you just like, oh, that worked for somebody else, so I'm going to do it. And you don't overthink it. You don't like try to reinvent it like I do. I try to make it perfect. I try to improve something I didn't even try yet. You know, that's what I do. But
case in point, that book on a shelf. You know, how long would a lot of people been working on making that just?
I've seen it. I've seen people wait forever, and that thing has so many errors in it. And but it was my first book. I was 26, but like, you just kind of you get better and stuff. But that's funny. I always wonder how people perceive me and how sometimes I'll ask you, how do I come off, or what do you see? That's why, Jonathan, to you, I was like, ask me whatever, say whatever, like what you perceive or whatever. But I remember back following a guy named David Fry back 100 years ago in marketing. And he was older than me, and I would just okay, like it sounds good, like I will just go do it, like. But that's funny you picked up on that, because I do. That's a conscious thing. I just, I will go through a few insider friends. Is this dumb? I'll look at it. Do I think it's dumb? No. Okay, cool. Like just go do it, and then fix it later. Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. I would say that's a good description. An implementer. Implementation.
I had to. I don't want to greet people at Walmart. I mean, shit, man. I don't want to get a new job. I don't want to get a real job that I hate, or I don't want to greet people at Walmart. Or I saw one the other day, and I'm like, you hate your life, right? So I don't want to be that.
Let's talk about one. So you've already touched on one principle of influence just in what you said, because we talked about the principle, and you kind of touched on authority with your interview. But even publishing is, I think publishing, most people just forget the power that presents, because like you said, you got a guy, that kind of came into your life that you were introduced to, all because of a book that you published a book, and he's like, who is this guy? But obviously it was attractive enough, from an influence and persuasion standpoint, to see your book out there that he had to reach out to you. So,
it is double persuasion, is double authority, because he had the book and it was in the newspaper.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like double authority.
He never read the book, I bet.
Oh, no. He never got a copy. No.
Yeah. He just saw the cover and the article about it, and that was enough. Like, that's why you can have errors in your book.
And I had to, by the way, I had to study for that interview for the newspaper. Like, I heard that phrase one time: a fourth grader is a guide to a third grader. I mean, I all I had to do is know more than the reporter.
Sure, absolutely.
Which shouldn't be too hard.
No.
So was that the example? Because you mentioned the interview. So is that what you're referring to in terms? Because
I interviewed. Okay, talk about authority. So, well, let me back up real quick to talk about. So, influence. I came across that book, and it's on my shelf somewhere right behind me. Probably when I was around 26, and I got to thinking. Like Jonathan, I know you've heard, and maybe Sean, you maybe heard me talk about this. Like, humans have the visa. Yeah. When I say that, money, I just say Visa, but humans have the Visa because we usually don't have cash. So I'll just say Visa. Humans have the Visa. And so if you just get good at knowing human beings as much as possible, you can get the Visa.
Right.
That's it. Like that was the thought process at 26. And influence is a nerdy textbook. As y'all know, you don't just sit down and read influence. Like it's like that thick, number one. Number two, like you just need to chill for a little bit after one chapter and just let that process. Like I need to go back and reread it, and I think I will slowly. And you just never know. Like one angle, might hit me now at 42 than it did years ago. But I just hit me like there's 8, 9, 10 core things in every human being, and like we're all Christians here, and it's kind of like I think about the Bible, like humans have been the same since Adam and Eve. They haven't changed, and they're not going to change. And there's certain things that just work with human beings. One being authority, because, Jonathan thinks that I can get him in a better spot financially or fitness wise or something, if he perceives that, then he's going to pay me money or ask me for advice. Like that's just, it's authority because we're all trying to better our lives and get to the top of the pile,
Absolutely.
And so, so Cialdini's books, I want to set that tone before I get into some of that stuff, because that's where this core comes from, is like, if you just get good at these things right here, all kind of different angles of that, then you can do well. One of them is authority, which is my favorite, because when you're selling and marketing, you can do anything that you want. Like you can make your website, if you want to, look like a 1999 website. If you want to, you totally could. You could totally show up that way. Right now, I've got some crazy house shoes on and some shorts, which is my typical normal attire, and a gym shirt. I can show up to a sales call just like that, But that's one extreme. The other extreme is I could show up with a book and a suit, and I could mail them that book before because marketing goes before the selling. And I can mail them the book before we even show up to my appointment. And so by the time they're like, oh, and so they perceive me differently. Sure. And there's a verse in the Bible about man looks on the outward, God looks on the heart. And people are just going to judge a book by its cover. They just are. It's never going to change. And I hate that. As a marketer, I hate that, because I wish we would just like judge people by their heart, and that's never going to happen. And so authority. So with Michael, as an example, first of all, when I went in to the mortgage business, I wrote that book instantly, like right off the bat. I had a ghost written. Now, here's the thing. I would have been a scam artist, because I know what people are thinking, because I've gotten this before. People have asked me about this. Well, if you didn't know what you're doing, aren't you scamming people? Yes, if I could not deliver on what I'm teaching. Sure. But there were a million paper pushing loan officers that would have like done the loan for me. What they can't do is attract the leads. Right. The book attracts the leads. Oh, wow. And it did. It worked. I started getting leads for self-employed, and I became that guy and self-employed until then Replace Your Mortgage took off. So with Michael, my former business partner, I wanted to change the perception, because I knew it'd be like, people wouldn't take it seriously or think it was real or whatever. I'm paying off your home in 5 to 7 years. So I did an interview with him and put it on the blog, because if you're being interviewed, you must have something to say, and you must be credible. Like right now, there's a transfer of trust with y'all two having me on here, because they're assuming you're not going to bring a scam artist on this freaking podcast. And so like, that's how that is. So if I'm interviewing this guy, Michael, who's an expert, mortgage expert, 16-year mortgage expert, he must be legit. And of course it's professionally done. I had my wherever that recorder I've had for 100 years, it was very professionally done. And then I sent it out to like 20 people with a call to action, about paying off your home early, and hey, if you're interested, we got this class or whatever. Right. And that's how we made our first $20,000 or $30,000, like within 45 days or something like that. But I did oh, you still there?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, that's what we made in our first, I don't know, maybe 45 days or something. But I posted on Facebook, hey, if anybody's interested, I'm interviewing this guy. If you want it, let me know. And they commented, and then I sent them privately the email, the MP3, all MP3. And so that's authority. That's another way to authority, because we could have showed up and wrote an article. I mean, that's still authoritative, but I guess my point is like, it changed the perception of it. Do you want me to share another example of authority?
Yeah.
Okay. This is worth like you could charge for what I'm about to tell you. And it's going to be so obvious when I tell your audience, but I'm going to tell you, and hopefully people will use it. Most won't, but like hopefully some will, because it'll make you money. So here's another authority play. In December of 2019, I told my partner we need to do video. People trust people on video. I've always had good success on video, so we're doing the video thing. But our topic, paying off your home early, happened to be even more skeptical. Like people are more skeptical of that than me selling red Solo cups, because people, yeah, we know these things work. Like, yeah, they're good. That's an easy sell. But you telling me you can pay off when everybody's being sold a 30-year mortgage and all that? You mean to tell me this is legit? So here's what I did. Every major city, probably have one in Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in Austin?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So maybe in Austin, I would assume everybody's in Austin, so more than likely they got that too. But but in every major town on the network, they have these like morning shows. Ours is called More at Midday in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
For $900. It made us millions of dollars. For $900. You can get on one of those shows. Now it shows, you can see, you can actually, I think, go to replaceyourmortgage.com right now and see the video we did in 2019 with Channel 4. And we spent $900 or $900 or $1,000. I think it was $900 to be on there. And here's what's so crazy. Now it even says sponsored by Replace Your Mortgage. So, people can see that, but people don't care because there's a transfer of trust. Channel 4 is not going to have a scam artist on there.
Of course not. Yeah.
No, that's not. It's like, no, so it's already almost vetted. So the defenses are down. You see very powerful.
Yeah. We've got a guy here in Austin who I think 2 or 3 times a week, he comes on for like a 4 to 5 minute commercial on the news at like the same time. It's almost, it feels like a segment of the news.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And he's selling annuities or some type of financial plan. I'm pretty sure it's annuities.
Yep.
And I mean, the dude's got to be crushing. He's on there like 3 days a week, and it just, it just rolls right with the news. I think he must buy just the whole local block.
He does. Yeah, that's what he's doing. Yeah, I've looked at more
commercial segment. And it's brilliant. I mean, it's just like he goes through his little whiteboard. He's got a free report. He does everything we talk about, and I'm sure he's just crushing it.
Wow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because of perception, he could obviously be like every other salesperson and just a financial planner and say, "Hey, you need this," and Charlie Brown teacher, white your ways type thing. And so here's what's so crazy about these shows: they all do this. They don't know about your business or anything, and they're busy. So they have a form you fill out about your business, and they even tell you, they ask you what questions that you want to be asked. That's what's so sick about it. It's like, and so I crafted the questions, and then I gave Michael kind of the answers, my business partner, and he did it. He was on TV. I didn't have to be. I could have been, but it didn't make sense. I don't. My ego ain't that big or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But like, and so one of my prerequisites was I needed to download the video file of that thing. I didn't care if it was on Channel 4. We didn't care if it was live. It was live, but we didn't care about that because actually it was older women that actually were the only people home because it's 5 years ago, pre-COVID. There was older women that were not our demographic calling in, but I didn't care if anybody called in. I just wanted the video file.
You just wanted the content. Yeah. Exactly.
That's one of the content. Right. And so we got the file, downloaded it, and we used to, now it's on our homepage, on our YouTube channel, or, my former company, I sold it, but we ran that ad like 360,000 times, like on Facebook.
Sure.
We ran that video as an ad on Facebook, a video ad. And so imagine when you see a video ad, if it looks like an ad, you just instantly click away. You're like, you don't even click, you just look away. Right. But when you see a news, you can see the screenshot of the image. Somebody's been interviewed. Okay, what's the headline? Pay off your home in 5 to 7 years. Oh my God, click, boom. And now go download our book.
Absolutely.
And it just worked. And so those are several plays on authority that I've personally used.
So you said something in there. This is not going to go into another one of the principles, but I think this is something that people don't recognize is the difference between marketing and sales.
Totally.
And how important that is.
You remember back in the day, I think it's changed now, but you remember back in the day on job sites, marketing and selling were in the same category. Do y'all remember that? Like back, like on job sites or whatever, it would say we're hiring somebody to do marketing and sales for us. And it's like,
nope,
what?
Not the same thing.
Nope.
What's your your What would you tell people if you were telling some kid in college and business school, like, what's the difference between sales and marketing?
Sales is what you do. Like, I love what Joe Polish says about it. First of all, sales goes before the marketing, or I'm sorry, marketing goes before the selling. And so it warms people up. Mm-hmm. So you ask yourself, how do you want to warm people up? So just think about that. When you book a money generating activity with yourself and say, I'm going to work on my business, like, what are you going to do to warm them up before they get to you? There's a lot of ways you can do that to change people's perception of you. And then selling is like what Joe Polish would say. Selling is what you do when they're in front of you or on a webinar or in person or, on the phone or however it is that you sell in your industry or whatever. So work on both skills, obviously.
Yeah. But I think the more, as long as it's good, I think the more marketing you can do before a sale before the actual sales process takes place, the easier the sales process is. So
our videos, what built the multi-million-dollar business was the first 17-ish videos. Mm-hmm. That was like our first older videos. We did one more round of videos. They were fine. I think obviously they made some sales, I assume, but like if you go to the old YouTube channel, if you go to Replace Your Mortgage YouTube channel, you'll see the ones that get most of the views. But that first playlist, when we started the company, people would watch those videos 2 or 3 times before they would book a call. Yeah. And the only sales pitch on there was to go download our free book at replaceyourmortgage.com. And so it was, there was no like, go buy my stuff or anything like that. It was literally just go download our free book because we want to get them off of YouTube onto our website. Mm-hmm. But then they would book a call with us, and of course, not everybody bought from us. Mm-hmm. Several people a month obviously bought from us, but they were warmed up. Like, mm-hmm. I can't believe some of the times, like, it was shocking that total strangers would hand us $2,000 to $4,000. I mean, we had that, almost 100 times a month, mm-hmm. Doing that, but it never got old. I was like, wow. And then of course we stacked it, kept getting better and better. Right. But that marketing, them watching the videos multiple times before they got on a call, booked a discovery call. I mean,
I've heard it said, and I don't know if this is more anecdotal than anything, but that it takes about 1 to 2 hours of content per $1,000 you want to sell in the online world. Yeah. Probably not true like in your business, Jonathan, but but it still requires quite a few face-to-face and emails and back and forth. But
say that one more time. Because
1 to 2 hours of content mm-hmm. to get per $1,000 of like ticket sales. So if you're a high ticket coach and they're not consuming 2 to 3 or 4 hours of your stuff, you're probably mm-hmm. not. It's gonna be really hard. It's gonna be much harder to make the sale unless you just got like a killer sales team. Yeah, which most people don't. It's tough. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's
I mean, I can see there's some truth. I don't know if it's black and white or not. I mean, I have no idea, but like, I can see some of that, and depending on the niche too. Especially with us, like I call like what I do for a living is build pinball machines. I bounce people around in a pinball machine, like in a good way. If you want out of the pinball machine, you can always just hit unsubscribe. That is totally cool. No hard feelings. I don't care. But 200 to 500 people a day would get in our pinball machine at Replace Your Mortgage. And they would bounce around to YouTube, to audio, to podcasts, to mm-hmm. emails, to whatever. And they would just learn, and some people were like ready at different times, mm-hmm. Everybody was different. Some people were like, oh my God, you're amazing. You're a Christian too. And like, just mm-hmm. all these factors, like mm-hmm. to stack. And that's the thing. Man, I always look at when you're selling, and I've said this for 100 years now, like, the cylinder blocks when you make your house, the foundation and stuff. I always visualize, like, if I was selling a Sean, there's 10 cylinder blocks, 8 to 10 cylinder blocks right in front of us. And to get Sean's Visa, I have to knock those cylinder blocks down low enough to where you can step over and hand me your Visa. Mm. And how I do that is with trust triggers, the offer, how I sell, how I look, testimonials, and you just stack it,
Mhm.
and it makes it easier. You just want to make it so easy for people to hand you money.
Yeah.
Like, what do you got to do, to do that?
What is I'm curious, scarcity is a big one in Persuasion. And
Yep.
I know you guys, you got it. I know you guys probably had some scarcity going on some of your offers, because obviously in the business that you're in,
Mhm.
it's not for everybody, right?
No.
You have to qualify. So there's a big opportunity. I mean, I hate to say opportunity, but there's a lot of ways you can create a scarcity approach where people want it, but it's not always available to them.
Yeah. We would do in this company, in their last company, the biggest thing we would do is just do like a 48-hour, not it's pressure, but not really high pressure of like, look, if you want $500 discount, we'll give it to you. But listen, it's 48 hours. Don't even ask me after 48 hours. Like, just don't even bother.
Yeah, it's because this is not it, just created to this is real. You're not.
This is a real thing. And I tell people now, I stopped doing calls a long time ago. I mean, even early on, I didn't do a lot of calls because I didn't even understand a lot. Even with when you were doing it, Jonathan, I would be like, I didn't even, totally understand it. And so Michael, my partner, would do most of the calls, but then I would eventually do more calls. I enjoyed it, but we end up getting, I don't know, 7 or 8, 9 sales guys and gals on the phone and did it. But I always tell them, not to be high pressure, but I would just tell them straight up, like, this is real. If you want a discount, listen, we can sleep at night charging you $4,000 because the average client says $15,000. So we're fine charging that. If you want a discount, listen, I want you to talk to your spouse about it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I would even do it in that tone because it was real too. It wasn't even fake, but it was real.
Right.
I want you to talk to your spouse about it. It's a big deal. You're going to change your home loan. I get it, but listen, we don't really discount. But if you want a $500 discount, then we would do that in 48 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's it. Dan Kennedy, Dan Kennedy would talk about never put an offer out without a date or a deadline.
Yep.
So he's very adamant about it. And
I mean, I think most people, we can go back to human nature, right? Most people don't want to make a decision.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to force them to make a decision because otherwise they will put it off forever.
Yeah.
When I was working with Russ Ruffino, kind of the best thing I learned from him was he's like, scarcity, if you can tap into what's already urgent in their life, that's where real scarcity comes from. It's not necessarily a deadline. Yeah. It's the fact that they're spending money that they could spend somewhere else. And if they don't take action, they're going to continue, right? The scarcity should come from their life.
That's good.
Not some external, and I think marketers as a group tend to
absolutely
drop to the easy thing. It's kind of like dropping your price, right? That's the easy way out.
Yeah, right.
The other thing is you could build value. You could do lots of other ways to do it. Scarcity is the same way. It's easy to slap a deadline on it, which I think is fine and good.
Fine.
Right.
Yep.
But if it's not tied to their life and what it's costing them and that kind of stuff, it's going to fall flat.
Yep.
That's a great reminder because I think about even with Replace Your Mortgage back in the day, they wanted to pay off their home so their spouse could stay at home, not in any certain order, but stay at home with kids. They wanted to retire early.
Yep.
Some of them wanted to quit their job, things like that. Yeah. So it's kind of like, if you want that, then, do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want your wife or spouse to come home, this year or do you want to wait 5 years?
Yeah.
Well, you got to get started now if you want it to happen in a year from now.
Yeah. That's a great reminder.
All right. So some of the other principles, I was trying to remember all of them. So we've talked about authority. We've talked a little briefly about scarcity. So there's 4 left. There's reciprocity, consistency, liking, and consensus. Any one of those you want to dive into?
Let's, we didn't talk about social proof, right?
which would be consensus, I guess.
It's
That would
just
fall under
okay, cool.
consensus.
Oh, that's it. You get all fancy with the words now. Like you come a long way. They
His words, not mine. I would choose. I would.
yeah. Well, that's a
Yeah.
professor. This is you're talking to somebody out of 1.9 GPA in high school. By the way, I'm still going to put that on my license plate.
We're going to use social proof. Let's use social proof.
Yeah. Let's use social
I
proof.
like that one.
What'd you just say? What'd you just say about your license plate?
I'm going to when I buy. So I'm going to buy a fancy car. I drive a black Infiniti now. It's paid off. I'm not even a car guy. I don't really drive. And when we do drive, my wife drives. I don't even drive her. Like I would be a douchebag if I was very rich. I would actually have a driver. Like not because like look at me, but like I just don't really care to drive. Like I would totally just be on my phone or whatever. But Sherry drives. But I want like a fancy car at some point. I'm not going to pay for myself. I'm going to buy a rental home and I'm going to get the renters to pay it. Because I just can't justify what I want and pay that payment. I could afford it, but I'm like, I can't. But I tell you this, I graduated Riverdale High School in '96 with a 1.9 GPA, and I will have that on my license plate. So
it's say 1.9 GPA.
Yes, it will say that's a license plate that will be on that. $100,000 car, just because like public education will make you live and self-education will make you rich. And
that's right.
So I just, I look at that as just like, my life is different, and hopefully it'll inspire people because I think our school system is just misses so many things.
I gotta say though, Dave, you had a pretty cool car there for a while until you started a family, right?
Yeah,
and that changes everything, right?
Yes. I had a Saturn Sky Roadster with the Viper back in. It takes people a minute usually to be like, what? Saturn Sky? Oh, was it a race? Yeah. I still love when I see one on the road. I still love that car.
That was a sweet car.
It is. It was cool. I had a black one, had 12,000 miles on it. Never forget it. And but yeah, I always tell my neighbors, if you see a fancy car in my driveway ever, just know I bought a rental property. So like I'm not going to go buy one. I've never had a car payment or anything like that. So no, so social proof. Let's talk about social proof. So social proof for the bandwagon effect is like and again, this is a 1.9 GPA guy talking. So, it's just basically it's kind of like how groups. So there's probably a better way to say it, and if there is, you guys tell me. But it's almost like kind of like you see like best-selling author, and so or best-selling product, and so if you see that assumes other people are buying it, and therefore it is good. So one of the stories that I've heard one time, if you're getting off an airplane, if flying on airplanes is your thing, so if you're getting off an airplane and you're wondering where the luggage place is, if you see 12 people going over here and you see 3 people going to the left, which way are you going to go? Yeah, you're going to go to the 12 people, right? And so follow you can follow the crowd. So because we don't, kind of like what you're talking about, Sean, we don't really like change and making decisions. So if you can go on autopilot, keep walking in that coma that most people are walking in, that you can, people will choose that. Okay. Right. And so it makes it easy to make decisions. That's why when we go to Amazon and we look at reviews, right? Exactly. I'm looking at speaker systems for my TV today, and I look, this thing looks kind of cool. And I see 3,250 reviews and 4.5 stars. All right. That's a lot for me. Like that sounds legit, it's on Amazon. So that's a legit company, that's probably legit reviews. 3,200 people cannot be wrong. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just, it can't be wrong. So I'll tell you how one way we did this with Replace Your Mortgage. I think my business partner took it down now, so you can't see it. I don't know why he took it down, but it's his company now, so he can do whatever he wants. But people, again, thought paying off your home 5 to 7 years is too good to be true. And so one of the things I did, we got stories. So we gave away $10,000 to get people to submit stories. We did a contest. And so basically we gave a few people refunds of their membership if they would fill out a survey. And so we had, I want to say 400 and some change actually do the survey. and then we went and cherry picked, the most descriptive ones, and we got 150 out of those.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those, we had two contractors. Two contractors go and turn them into blog posts.
Right.
And we put them all on one page. So we had 100 testimonials, and not just testimonials, because I learned a strategy, not just saying, Replace Your Mortgage was good.
Mm-hmm.
We used the negative and the positive and why they liked it and all that stuff. Very strategic. But we had 100 testimonials on one page. Yeah. And the page was called Proof, replaceyourmortgage.com/proof. And so you would scroll down and see people like you, because we live our lives vicariously through the lives of others.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so we put 100 and something testimonials all in one. And then you could click, oh, Jonathan Taylor, click.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Sean McCool, click and read more. Like, oh, they're from Knoxville. Oh, it's from Austin. Oh, cool. And so
adding that little bit too, by the way, like where they're from, adds a whole lot to that testimonial, because
there's a lot of little bitty things going into that, where they're from, skin color, black, white, skinny, attractive.
Yeah.
Like you said, location, all of that factor. And you can learn their story. Huh?
Occupation's another good one.
Occupation. Absolutely. All of those things add up in that one little thing. So like for us to spend 10 grand, well, that was only like 2.5 customers. If that one page, and it cost us like $10,000, that one page brought in 2.5 customers.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the black.
I think it's amazing that people won't spend the money on stuff like that, but they'll go drop $10,000 on a Facebook ad campaign or a course, like a mastermind.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But they won't give $10,000 to their customers to get real proof, real stories, and all that kind of stuff. It's so much of the best marketing is like right there for you.
Well, it goes back to the core. So my view of marketing is defense and offense. So you play defense first, and you make sure it's strong. So your offer is strong as possible. Remember, I like to implement. I don't have to do everything perfect. I implement fast.
Right.
Okay, make sure it's not a stupid offer. Like that's it. Like common sense. Just do that. Make sure your marketing is but then like you get it going, but then you keep stacking. So I look at it as like a piece of clay, and I'm molding this piece of clay, or taking like an ice sculpture. I just got a block of ice right now. Then I'm gonna take the chainsaw and I'm gonna start carving it, kind of like on Groundhog Day, and they make a sculpture out of it. That's how I look at marketing. And so with defense, like that's defense. So we're spending like almost $4,000 a day in advertising for Replace Your Mortgage. So we had all these leads, and defense would be like, oh, look, send them to this page right here, and then just do different things or whatever to like make it strong when they're there, that this is legit. Oh, there's a TV thing. Oh, their YouTube channel. Oh, wow. 38 million people have seen this YouTube channel now. Holy cow. They got a podcast. Oh, wow. This is fancy. It's on iTunes.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yep.
You sure I'm going with that? Yep. Stuff that like is very subtle, but imagine doing 50 of those things over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then it's just, it's easy.
Because if it's things that, people believe are hard, like starting a podcast, and a lot of people in our world may not think that's hard, but there's a lot of people out there that it's like
that's magic.
No, it's like witchcraft. Yeah.
Yes.
So like if you've got that kind of stuff, even a YouTube channel, it's like, the majority of the population doesn't know how to go out and start a YouTube channel. Right? They don't know how to start a podcast. They don't, despite all the people teaching about getting a book written, they don't know how to write a book.
Nope.
And we forget that because we're so in it. We forget that that's still a powerful tool, and there's still millions of books, sold on Amazon probably every day. I don't know what the numbers are, but so I think as marketers, sometimes you have to take a step back and realize that the basics, like the base hits and the fundamentals, like they still work.
That you said it right there. The fundamentals. That and that goes back to Cialdini and influence and human nature and the Bible and just like humans. I mean, that's just it. And if you just take that and just expand off of that, getting people to like you, like I said, I got this from Dean Jackson, but I'll schedule times with myself, Monday through Thursday, called money generating activities, to think about pieces of my business.
Mm-hmm.
And you might sit and think about how to get more people to like you in your business.
Yep.
Like that sounds so silly, but you can do things. What jokes work. Like when I talk about when people call me, I'll say, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Looking busy." I think that's what I said to y'all earlier. I think,
yeah.
But I was like, "Oh man, just sitting around looking busy, whatever." It's just a Duttonism, whatever. I know people like that, and it's who I am. So you find those things and you stack those things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you buy better clothes. Maybe you smile more, whatever.
Learn how to be funny. I mean,
Yes.
Sometimes it's good to learn, like watch comedy or stuff like that.
Yep.
Because you may not be funny, but you can learn to be. I think you can learn to be funnier, right?
You can.
You may not be a comedian, but you can learn to inject a little humor into your talks or into your whatever your line of business is to make you more likable. So, I mean, it's just, we can learn from anything.
Absolutely.
I took probably 3 years ago now, I took a stand-up comedy class down at UT, and
I bet that was cool.
It was amazing. And what's amazing is when you went to it, you found out that these guys, these stand-up comics, are not as funny as you think they are. It's actually, there's formulas.
There's
very clear-cut formulas that they use. Now, you do have to be good, you do need kind of another level of observation. I think that's where the talent is. You have to notice things. But once you know the formulas, it's easier to notice because you know what you're looking for.
Sure.
Right?
Well, it's kind of like when we talk about marketing, if you watch some of these, like Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee is a great example. Dude, you can tell it's two friends hanging out, nerding out on comedy.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that they're talking about stuff that like we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Oh, structuring jokes or whatever. And it gets nerdier than that when it's just them hanging out with no camera off, working on structures and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And so
I mean that's how this podcast started, right? I mean, it was me and Jonathan hanging out at a casual pint,
drinking
talking
beer,
marketing and sales at the end of the week. And you can do that for your audience. Like, what does your audience hang out and talk about, and how can you help them facilitate that conversation?
Yeah. Yep. So liking, you think about things that liking, reciprocity, obviously, one is like giving. So we gave away our book, I'm starting a new company I can't talk about, but, publicly, but we're going to be selling a book. And but in this last company, you could buy it on Amazon. I think we sold several a month, but we mostly gave away the book. And so that starts making people feel like, oh, wow, they gave us value that, we're going to return that value or whatever. We would do a 45-minute discover call with people, and it wasn't just some big sales pitch either. It was a very valuable call. Hey, if you don't need to do business with us, you're going to know if this is going to work for you or not.
Right.
That's worst case.
Yeah.
So just book a call.
So that built a lot of trust.
Yeah.
In that call right there.
Yeah. Yeah. We ain't just going to pitch you. This is we're going to find out if this works for you. We're going to ask questions and dig deep and whatever. So, but those are those are some core things. I mean, I'm real big on authority, because I just feel like it's so smooth. Authority, I feel like it's so smooth and easy to implement.
That's a big one. Yeah.
It just is. And it's and your competition, this is a great story, I think. Your competition is not really doing much. They're just not. And they're doing the standard basic stuff that is that everybody else is doing. Let's just say there's 10 people selling the same thing you're selling. They're doing the same stuff. Okay, let me give you an example. My buddy Greg Ramser, we were talking about this the other day. Chick-fil-A. Did they kill it on the drive-through.
Mhm.
I mean, they kill it in general, just everything about it. You go in and whatever, but their drive-through, they're killing it. Burger King, Hardee's, Wendy's,
Yeah.
where are they at?
Right.
They
Yeah, I
ain't nowhere
mean,
to be found. Now
Dude,
they're
like,
making
like seriously, I'm afraid. Like most Taco Bell drive-throughs have a curb on both sides, right? Like once you're in, like
Mhm.
you're in, like you're stuck. Like
Yeah.
you cannot get out of line.
Yeah.
And like I got a serious fear to go into a Taco Bell drive-through because it could be hours before I get out.
What is
And-
that? Yes.
And
What are
Chick-fil-A,
they doing in there?
and that's like if there's 3 cars, right? Chick-fil-A, it's double wrapped around the building, and you know you're going to be out in 10 minutes.
And they don't hate their life. Like all
Yeah.
these employees don't hate their life. Like they're
Yeah.
like,
Right.
what can I help you with? You know?
They're petting
Right.
your dog when he comes to the
That's right.
window.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
it's just
But here's
yeah,
the thing:
another level.
the people don't care.
Right.
Hardee's doesn't care. Now they're killing it. They're still fine.
Mhm.
But like they've realized, oh, if you have a drive-through, you can be successful. If you have hamburgers, if you have fries, like the basic stuff, they figured out what every other hamburger joint has figured out. And that's why they're still around. And they built a brand over 50 years or 30 years or whatever it's been. And that they're par for the course and they're making money.
Absolutely.
I think what Hardee's has figured out, I'll say this about them. I think they know their market is the lunchtime construction worker crowd.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's who with the types of food that they offer and the combos they offer with the like I don't know who needs like a hamburger and a chicken sandwich and fries and a shake for their combo meal.
Right.
But apparently
funny.
they know who that is. And that's their thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. They could be doing. I mean, they're.
But you don't hear about people talking about
No.
how many times a week do you hear about people talk about Hardee's?
Nobody. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody talks about that. They don't care enough, and so that is the majority of the world in every industry.
Absolutely.
And so if you do, 30% more in authority than they do,
Mhm.
I mean, like one company that I'm working on. Dude, we're going to hire college professors from Ivy League colleges as spokespeople
Mhm.
because they're from Harvard, they're from Vanderbilt. Like,
Yeah.
it's authority.
Yeah.
Because it's just that there's little bitty things, but they move the needle big time because it's like,
Mhm.
you hired a mathematician? They're like,
Sure.
yep, and so there's things that you can do, and so, but you don't have to do everything. You don't have to do everything right. You
Mhm.
just do a few of those things on authority, and you will go. I mean, you'll literally go the head of the class. You're in the top 5, just by doing a few things.
Mhm.
I want to dive into one thing you said just a little bit ago, and then we can start wrapping up. But you said you take time and you have money generating activities, and sometimes you just sit down with a pad and write out ideas. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, so Dean Jackson has this thing, and look at it. It's free on YouTube, 50-minute focus finder, and it's free, and he's talked about it for years. I kind of tweaked it a little bit, just a little bit, and mine's just a money-generating activity. So a lot of times people will act like they're running their business, but then they're freaking sharpening their pencils and like shuffling papers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, why is my business not growing? Well, you're freaking shuffling papers and sharpening pencils. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're not that busy. There's something making you feel busy, but it's like, okay, what do you have to do? And Jonathan, this goes back to when I'm still like this to this day, just a little bit lazier now, now that, paid off houses and stuff, but what do I have to do to get somebody's visa in an ethical, moral way?
Sure.
And that's it. I just want to do those steps and nothing else.
Mhm.
And so what has to happen for Sean McCool to give me money?
Mhm.
And you map that out or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's a money generating activity. Everything else can be outsourced. You hire people to put a pickle on a hamburger for you.
Yep.
And so, so I will take a piece of my business. So there's a few things that even Dean Jackson has made me millions. I just love Dean Jackson. It's the first guy. It's the only guy I've ever hired. Not first. It's the only guy consultant I've ever hired. I paid him $8,000 one time, and I come maybe 2 years ago. I went down to Florida and saw him. I felt like I owed him $8,000. Like I felt like, hey, sorry it's late, but like here's your $8,000. Like it didn't cost me $8,000. I owed him a check because he had already made me so much money before I gave him a check, because that free stuff is so good. But one of the things I love that he teaches is the before, during, and after unit. So he has these things, the 3 units, and it's changed my life. It's how I view every business now. Before unit is what people do before they hand you money. Okay. And so what are you doing? Pick a single target market, go after them, as download a book. The next thing is like during, after they've handed you money. What happens? What does that process look like?
Right.
What can you do to optimize that? And then 3, after they finished whatever it is you sold them, the after unit, are you getting referrals? You know, and then he talks about how to get referrals and why people refer. And so I will sit and analyze pieces of my business. And I honest to God, I believe that one of my advantages over people is my ability, and I'm not saying this in an arrogant way. I'm just saying, like, I just feel like this truly is an advantage I have over people, is I will sit and think about like pieces of my business and optimize it. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm thinking about, can I make my ebook better? Can I, can I tweak the graphic better? And I may not, I don't know graphics. So I'll go hire somebody if I need to go do it. But I'm like, could that be better? Or could we do this better or whatever in this one unit, the before unit or the during unit? You know, can we upsell them? Okay, now that they've bought, replace your mortgage, what else they want? Well, in our case, they wanted to invest in real estate. So we should offer real estate stuff because now they got access to money.
Yep.
You know, they're paying off their home early, but then like, oh, wait a minute, I'm still in my wealth building years. I don't want to really have to pay off my home early. Like, I mean, maybe I don't. Maybe I want to buy real estate because now I have access to money.
Sure.
Cool. Well, I want to be your toll booth. You know, I want to see a Pepsi and Coke. You know, I don't care what you drink.
That's great.
Yeah, like I just want to be a toll booth. Like, hand me the quarter. And so the next thing, so I will analyze what happens after they hand us money. Well, we only had a one-time fee investment for us, and I'm like, there could be other money.
Sure.
Money things, we could do.
Well, yeah, I mean, the hardest thing in the world is to do effectively, I think, is build relationships. And once you have them, like there's so much trust and, the authority and liking and all the stuff that happens there. You're crazy you're actually doing them a disservice if you know about something that they could benefit from, to not share that with them.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, we never did this, but I've told people this. People trusted us so much. Michael and I, my former partner, they trusted us so much that like people would have handed us money to invest in real estate. Now you got to be careful with that. There's a credit investor versus not, and there's things like that, legal things you got to look at. But because we didn't screw them and they were getting results from our stuff, they would hand us money. That's a lot of trust. These people, like, we've never met them in person.
Yeah.
And if I guarantee you, we could have got $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 from people. Hey, do you want to go buy this apartment building with us? Yeah, sure. Let's all put our money together.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of trust. I bring that up to say that is a lot of trust. And it's like, okay,
sure.
Well, what else can you offer to make their life better?
Yeah. And there's so much stuff. I mean, it's, and businesses that do, I mean, Apple's a great example of that, right? Yep. They started with computers, and because of the trust they built with their customers back in the day, they were able to get into music. They were able to get into apps. They were able to get into banking now, with credit cards, and like, they can go wherever they want because, and I think Simon Sinek talked about that in his, his Start With Why talk. Yeah. They could do anything they want because they built that relationship and that trust with their customers.
Absolutely. So now they can sell them cars.
Yeah.
Which is their next thing.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. They can sell literally anything they want because they're not a computer company. They're a creativity company or whatever. You know, however you want to look at it.
Yep.
As long as it's got that apple on it,
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's a certain trust just from that of history of like, you know what you're going to get from Apple.
Yep.
Yeah.
It must be good. It must be cool. It must be hip. So,
yep.
Thank y'all for having me on here. This
absolutely,
it's been fun. It's great.
Yeah, we could talk about this all day, but it's been good. Dave, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah,
we'll have to do this again sometime. And
yep.
Before we jump out, is there any? I know you can't share any upcoming business. Any other stuff you're working on before we wrap up?
I'll share one thing we're about to launch. Tim Davis, our mutual friend, just stopped at the house, and we have been working on this. Cool. Really cool. Do y'all remember the Millionaire Blueprint magazine?
Oh, I love that magazine.
So damn good.
Rachel, we were cleaning out like over the holidays. She wanted me to de-junk my office.
Yeah.
And she went through my file drawers because she's an organizer.
Yep.
And she grabbed, because on one of the top drawers in my file cabinet, I have almost every one of those Millionaire Blueprints magazines. I've never thrown them away. And she wanted to chunk them. I'm like, I can't.
No, you cannot do that. Way. Because, I mean, yeah. So, that one's defunct. And so like, I want to design a magazine. Yeah. It's not a magazine. It's we call it a playbook. And I'll show you. So Tim Davis and I are putting this together. So it's super fancy in the inside. That's cool. And let me put it, there we go. And we're going to work on, so this is like a friend of ours, Michael Gomez. So people can make like, we're the founders, but like we'll have these publishers. So like Jonathan, if you're marketing to, or Sean, if you're marketing to, business owners and you want a way to follow up, to call them every 30 days without being annoying. So, hey, do you want me to drop by the latest small business playbook?
That's cool.
Yeah. And so I did all the lessons. I did a brain dump. Every year I do something for my friends, like on Facebook. I will write about, what's the best things I did financially, and just, it's a brain dump. And I view it truly, it's not a brag or nothing. I don't really care. It truly is. I feel like a gift to my friends of like, hey, this is what I learned. Like I paid too much taxes. So, but then I learned this or, whatever. And it's just like in December. Yeah. So I didn't post it this year, but I posted in this one, 21 lessons from a millionaire. That's the article. I went through a lawsuit, spent $165,000 in a lawsuit past year and a half. And just, building multi-million-dollar business in 4 years. What did I learn? And I did a brain dump of like, okay, now it's done. What happened? Like what actually worked? And then some of the stuff a little bit is what I shared today, so, but anyway, we're working on that, but we'll come back on later on and talk about other stuff maybe.
Yeah. That sounds fun. Very cool. Well, that's David Dutton. And David, it's been a pleasure, man, having you on. Sean, it's been good as always. You guys can find us persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your podcast platforms. And hope everyone has a great weekend coming up. We'll see you next episode.
See ya.
All right.